Okay, so this is something which we discussed in the last class, and we know that this friction factor that is equal to 64 divided by Reynolds number for steady laminar pipe fully developed pipe flow. But in case of turbulent and transitional flow, we need to use Moody chart for the determination of friction factor, or we can use Colebrook relation. One is implicit and the other one is explicit relation to calculate the friction factor. So if we calculate the friction factor, we can calculate this HL value, which is the major loss, head loss due to friction, and then we can put that value in the energy equation to calculate all other properties of interest. Okay, so we did a numerical problem in the last class to determine friction factor and pressure drop. So I hope that is understandable to everyone. So if there is any query from the last lecture or from the lecture from the previous weeks, you can ask now. Otherwise, we can start today's lecture. So in today's lecture, we are going to, because up till now we have covered major losses. So major losses are major losses. So they are due to friction, and if we want to calculate HL major, that is equal to F into length divided by diameter V square upon 2G. Now friction factor, that is equal to 64 upon Reynolds number for laminar flow, for laminar flow, and then for turbulent flow, that is function of Reynolds number and relative roughness. So we use Moody chart or Colebrook relation, right? So this was all about major losses. So now we are going to discuss second type of losses, which are minor losses. We categorize them or call them minor losses. It doesn't mean that they are minor. So minor losses, that are the losses due to different components in the piping system. Different components or different type of discontinuities. Yes, any query? Maybe not. Okay. So due to different components or due to some kind of discontinuities in the piping system.
सर एक क्वेश्चन करना था
बिल्कुल जी, पूछिए।
सर। ये जो डेरिवेशंस सर हमने की हैं सर, ये पेपर में आएंगे कि इनको याद करना पड़ेगा सर? ये जो फार्मूले हैं सर, कितने ज़्यादा सर?
कौन से
क्लास
फार्मूले?
सर
ये वाले फार्मूले,
या
ये
सर इससे पीछे भी
अगर
काफी हैं सर, ये तो हैं
उससे उससे पीछे वाले बताइए। ये
सर।
आप
वो जिस
बर्नौली इक्वेशन
सर
की बात
पाई
कर रहे हैं?
प्रोडक्ट वाले भी, सर पाई प्रोडक्ट वाले भी
अच्छा, अगर मैं पीछे चला जाऊँ किस
बाकी
जगह
सर
पे?
ऐसे पाई काफी ज्यादा
उमेर।
सर। पीछे
यस,
सब पिछले से पिछले वीक के सर।
ये वाले, ये तो डेरिवेशन की है, तो ये तो आपको कुछ ना कुछ तो देखने पड़ेंगे ना, जो
ये सर नहीं
डेरिवेशन
आते
हमने
हैं,
की है।
डेरिवेशन आती है सर।
हाँ
सर
तो
वो
बस,
आगे सर अगर पेपर में सर क्वेश्चन आता है सर, आप डेरिवेशन करनी पड़ेगी, वहां से फार्मूले याद करने पड़ेंगे सर।
लेकिन एक
या
दो
सर वो
फार्मूले हैं, अगर एक दो फार्मूले, जैसे ये क्यू का फार्मूला है या जैसे
यस
ये
सर,
डेल्टा पी का फार्मूला है, ये एक दो फार्मूले याद करने पड़ेंगे, ज़्यादा नहीं। ठीक है,
यस सर, यस
ठीक है।
सर,
बाकी डेरिवेशन वो हम देख लेंगे कि पेपर में आनी है कि नहीं, वो वी कैन डिस्कस लेटर। ठीक है उमैर,
यस
लेकिन
सर।
कम से कम ये डेरिवेशन कराने का मकसद ये है
सर डेरिवेशन
पहले
आती है सर, वैसे आते हैं।
जी। तो अगर बहुत ज्यादा फार्मूले होंगे देन वी कैन मेक अ फार्मूला शीट, अदरवाइज इफ दे आर लाइक, अगर ये वाले जैसे ये फ्रिक्शन फैक्टर के फार्मूले हैं वी डिस्कस, अगर जैसे ये वाले दो फार्मूले हैं, you don't need to memorize them. If there is a question in the question paper, I would provide the formula, right? तो
Yes, sir.
क्योंकि ये हमने ड्राइव नहीं किए है, जो से फार्मूले हमने ड्राइव नहीं किए वो आपको याद करने की जरूरत नहीं, लेकिन जो हमने ड्राइव किए हैं you can kind of just go through them, maybe a couple of formula, so that would be fine. ठीक है, and we can always discuss it later. ठीक है, Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So now we are going to discuss minor losses, as I mentioned. So most piping system consist of considerably more than straight pipes, because in piping system we have got teeth, joints, valves, and then we have got some kind of pump involved, pump work or turbine work involved. So that's why those additional losses, they fall under the category of minor losses. So they usually add to the losses which the fluid experiences due to frictional effects. So for example, if we talk about this valve which we usually see at our homes, so that is kind of the purpose of this valve is to regulate flow rate. Either we can increase it or decrease it. So it's just the functionality of to control the volume flow rate. So whenever the flow passes through this valve, even if it is fully open, there would be some kind of discontinuity or disturbance in the flow, and due to that disturbance there would be some energy loss in that component. So all those energy losses in that component would fall under the category of minor losses. Now for the major losses, as we discussed in the last class, that we can always use friction factor, which is F, F parameter, to calculate the major loss. So similarly, for the minor loss, we need to come up with some parameter so that we can use it to determine the minor losses in all the components. That is one thing, that we need to define a parameter as we did for the major losses. And secondly, we cannot derive the value of that parameter from some basic principle. Rather, we need to conduct experiments to find the value of the minor losses in that component. So in this, the parameter which we usually define, that is KL. So this KL is the loss coefficient for due to those components or discontinuity. And as I explained earlier, that it is not possible to perform theoretical analysis. So rather we conduct experiments to determine the this loss coefficient KL. So that KL is defined as HL minor divided by V square upon 2G, which is also equal to delta P upon half rho V square, right? So if we want to write KL if we want to write delta P would be the pressure drop which would occur in that component. So that can be easily seen, that that would be equal to delta P would be equal to KL into half rho V square. So that is the so if I explain it further on the whiteboard, so we are talking about the pressure drop. Okay, so if we have got a pipe in which we have got a valve here, right? So there is a valve here, right? So in this case, that delta P we are talking about, one is this and two is this location. So delta P would be equal to P1 minus P2. That would be equal to KL into half rho V square. And V is the velocity which is which is the mean velocity of the flow through this pipe. Rho is the density of the pipe, and KL is that loss coefficient which we need to determine by the conduct of experiment. Now the second thing, that the relation we seen on the last page on the lecture slide, that was KL was also related with the HL minor. So HL minor was divided by V square upon 2G. So from here, if we want to calculate HL minor in terms of KL, that is quite simple. HL minor would be equal to KL into V square upon 2G. Right. So this is HL minor. So let me write the relation for the HL major here as well, just for the comparison purpose. So if I write HL major, that was equal to F L upon D V square upon 2G. Right. So from here, if we say that if we want to get the value of KL in terms of that how it is related with the friction factor, it is very simple that if we equate them, if we equate HL minor is equal to HL major, then we can say that KL would be equal to F L upon D. So that is the definition of KL in terms of friction factor, which is F. L is the length of the pipe through which we are conducting the experiment, and D is the diameter of the pipe. Right. So that is the minor loss, or we call it loss coefficient. So as we determined for the turbulent flow, that F was function of Reynolds number and the relative toughness. So similarly, for the loss coefficient KL, KL is the function of Reynolds number. Just a minute. KL is function of we should use not this. Uh, so I am going to use 5 for the function here, just to that F is a function of Reynolds number and relative roughness. So similarly, KL is the function of Reynolds number because there is velocity, and then the geometry of the component. That what is the geometry, whether that is 180-degree bend or 90-degree bend, or whether that is a valve, that is a T-joint, whatever, or that is certain expansion, certain contraction, so or the flow through a reservoir or flow into a reservoir. So there are different kind of losses involved with each configuration, which we are going to study in the coming slides. So now if we want to write the energy equation between, so let's suppose that there is a pipe. So we are talking about here I have got a section 1 and here I have got a section 2. So let's see that here I have got one component C1 and another component C2. So if I want to write the energy equation between these 2 points, so I am going to write it by using the energy equation as we discussed in the last class. That would be equal to V1 upon gamma plus V1 square upon 2G plus Z1 is equal to P2 upon gamma plus V2 square upon 2G plus Z2 plus HL. Now HL major plus HL minor. Okay. So if I write it again, just to elaborate that what are the values for the HL major and HL minor. So all these 6 terms would be as it is, and then for the HL major it would be equal to FL upon D V square upon 2G plus, then here I would have KL into, and here it would be C value from 1 to N, KL V square upon 2G. Now, here I have shown two components, so n value would be 2. If there are four components, so n value would be 4. So it means that the losses in that pipe would be due to one component that is due to friction, that are frictional losses, and that are due to, this second one is due to uh, components, or discontinuity in flow. So if we neglect these two terms, then we are left with the Bernoulli equation, in which there is no friction involved, and we studied that Bernoulli equation in, I think, chapter number 4 in FM1, if I am not wrong, maybe chapter number 3. So, uh, so that is something we need to incorporate when we talk about viscous flow through some piping system. So that is the something that is, these are the relation which I have written on the whiteboard. So this energy equation is applicable for the steady incompressible viscous pipe. So now F and KL, they are the major things which needs to be determined in order to put in this equation, and rest of the things we can get from the gauges. So and the last point here is, as the friction factor for very large Reynolds number, fully developed flow is independent of the Reynolds number. So, if how do we know that? If I go back on the Moody chart, we okay, this one. Okay, there is a dotted, there is a dashed line here on the right hand side, right where the mouse cursor is. If you see that after that line, this horizontal, these friction factor lines, they almost become horizontal. So it means that after that value of Reynolds number, the value of friction factor does not depend upon the Reynolds number. It only depends upon the value of epsilon upon d, because these are the epsilon upon d these are the friction factor curves for different values of relative roughness, which is epsilon upon d. So it means that this that top curve is for the epsilon upon d value of 0.05, and then here the bottom curve, the here it is epsilon upon d value of 0.501. So you can see that when the Reynolds number becomes very large, then friction factor only depends upon relative roughness, and it becomes independent of Reynolds number. So in this on the same lines, we can say that KL coefficient, when the Reynolds number is sufficiently large, then KL is only function of geometry. So it means that what component we are talking about. So for the low Reynolds number value, yes, it may depend upon the Reynolds number, but if the Reynolds number is quite high, like 1 million or 1 lakh, then we can safely say that this loss coefficient would only be function of geometry, or that discontinuity we are talking about. So now there is another component, and there is another concept here, that because if you see in this diagram, that there are two components, C1 and C2. So what are they doing? That they are increasing the value of head loss. So if we can replace this component, because let's say that that C1 component, so let me write it here, that HL minor C1, that is like 1 meter, right? So it means that the head loss in that due to that C component is 1 meter. Now, in some piping systems or in some practical cases, there is a concept that we replace this for the calculation purposes. We replace this loss which occurred due to this component with a straight pipe which produces the same loss as this component. So we call that concept. We call that concept that is we call it equivalent length. So uh, as I mentioned earlier that KL was equal to F into L upon D. So that can only be written when HL major is equal to HL minor. So in this case, we would put this equivalent L and we represent it with L EQ in the subscript. So that is this length, equivalent length is the straight pipe length which we can add to the original piping system in place of that component. So it would produce the same loss as it was due to that component. So it means that we are kind of effectively we are taking those components out and then we are putting some straight pipe length so that those pipe lengths would produce the same head loss as that was due to that component. So we are replacing the minor losses with the major losses. So that usually people sometimes do it in the if we are using some software and we know that like Answer software that there is a component that it would produce a certain amount of head loss, then we instead of putting that component there, we just put a straight add that straight pipe length that would produce the same head loss, and then we can easily do the analysis by using software. Otherwise, if that component is there, then maybe analysis would be a little bit more complex. So minor losses are sometimes in case of change in pipe diameter or for the use of commercial software, we just kind of replace it with the equivalent length. So the equivalent length is the length of the horizontal pipe which would produce the same head loss or the friction loss in the component as the loss which was produced by that actual component. So it means that HL minor is equal to HL major, and then because we are equating those two losses, then V square upon 2G would be cancelled out, and KL would be equal to L equivalent upon D. From here, L equivalent would be equal to KL D upon S. So now you can see that equivalent length would be more if KL is more. So it makes sense that if the minor loss is due to that component is more, then we need to have more straight pipe length in order to account for that length. And if the friction factor of the friction factor is more, then we need less pipe length to account for that, because if the friction factor is more, major losses would be more. So it means that in shorter pipe length, we would be able to achieve the head loss which was due to that component. And similarly, the relation with diameter. So the head loss of the pipe system is the same as that produced in the straight pipe whose length is equal to the pipes of the original system plus the sum of the additional equivalent length of all of the components. So it means that if we talk about this piping system here, because there are two components here, so I need two equivalent lengths. One is for this component and one is for this component in order to count for the loss occurred in these two components. So if there are 10 components, then maybe we need those 10 equivalent lengths. The value of that equivalent length can be determined by using these relations. So this KL would be different for each component, right? So it is not a universal value, it could be different for each component. So let's suppose if we have got a valve here, then maybe it would be a some other value of KL here. Maybe KL would be in case of valve, maybe it is zero point 0.5. If it is a T joint here, maybe KL value is 1.5. So it all depends that what are those, what are the geometry of those components. So now having introduced this loss coefficient, now we move next move towards the values of this KL for different type of components and different type of discontinuities in flow. So the first type of discontinuity of flow is the entrance from a reservoir to some piping system. So it is just like a pipe which is coming from your overhead tank to up till your kitchen. So you can see that there is a pipe which has been connected to your overhead tank, and that takes water from there and into your kitchen or wherever you need it. So uh, whenever it enters in the pipe, there is a because we know from our FM1 knowledge that there is the inability of the fluid to turn at right angle, right? So it cannot turn at a right angle, so it needs to have some curve effect. So it means that the flow would separate at this point, at this entrance region. So in the beginning there would be some higher velocity value in the middle. So that if you remember that phenomena, that was vena contracta effect. If you remember vena contracta effect, it means that the fluid cannot take a 90-degree sharp turn. So it requires some kind of a curve inflow. So due to that, it separates from the walls, and the velocity at the middle would be more. So due to that effect, there is some kind of loss due to that, is because that is a discontinuity in the flow. So let's see here that is a re-entrant region. So it means that the pipe is within that reservoir. So the flow which is coming from the top, it would have to first it has to go on the left, and then it would have to come back on the right hand side. So if you see that scale value for the re-entrance region, that is zero point 0.8, so it means that the loss is quite high. So okay, one thing you need to be very clear, that what does this zero point 0.8 mean? So if you look here, that KL, from here we can say KL is the ratio of HL major divided by V square upon 2G. So it means that it is kind of producing V square upon zero point 0.8, mean that the minor loss would be equal to zero point 0.8 into V square upon 2G. So whenever we say KL is 0.8, it means that we put 0.8 here, and then we can say that whatever the value of velocity is there, so HL minor would be zero point 0.8 into V square upon 2G. Okay, so that is a dimensionless number. So the more the Wiener contractile effect, higher would be the loss coefficient. Now that is the B figure, figure B, that shows us the sharp edge entrance. So for the sharp edge entrance, because it is not kind of reverse flow like in the re-entrance region, so KL value is a little bit less, which is 0.5. And then if we make it a little bit rounded entrance, so you can see that value. And if we make it more rounded, uh, like the curvature is less steep, so in that case, radius of curvature is more and curvature is less. Then in that case, that well-rounded KL is 0.04. So it means that we can reduce the energy loss due to this Wiener contractile effect by rounding off the pipe entrance. if we can, right? So then we can do that. And as I mentioned before that there is a, because whenever due to Wiener contractor effect, it cannot take a 90-degree turn. So it means that it would take in some curved manner. So that's why there is a flow separation. So if you see here that the flow separation is shown by this shaded region on the top surface, on these two surfaces. And because there is a flow separation, so there would be some kind of viscous dissipation in this region where the shaded region. So whenever there is a viscous dissipation, so it means that it is no more isentropic flow. So it means that there would be some permanent loss of energy head. So it means that the mechanical energy of the system is being converted into thermal energy of the system, right? So that is what the figure is showing on the bottom half of this slide, that it shows the pressure variation for this that the total pressure this, if you see that the static pressure is maximum at the beginning, but it becomes very less at the location 2, while that, because at the location 2 the velocity is maximum. Why is velocity maximum? Because there is a flow separation, and the area available for the flow to pass, that is minimum. That is kind of the throat of a nozzle, as you discussed in your thermo 2, I think. If you have taken a thermodynamics 2 course, so you must have discussed convergent divergent nozzle. So that is kind of a throat of a nozzle. So on that, because the velocity is maximum, so dynamic head is maximum and the static pressure value is minimum. Now, because there is some kind of viscous dissipation, so it means that after that, when it becomes fully developed, so there is some permanent loss of energy head due to that viscous dissipation, which is shown here, KL into rho v squared upon 2. So actual pressure, static pressure, which we get in the fully developed region, that value is far less than the ideal value. Where this loss has gone, that is the energy which has been converted to thermal energy due to that frictional losses or viscous dissipation. Now, because these frictional losses that occur due to this discontinuity of flow, so that's why it comes under the umbrella of minor losses, not the major losses, because major losses only cover the friction losses in straight pies. They doesn't cover the losses when the flow turns. So any discontinuity in the flow, the loss due to that effect, that would fall under the category of minor losses. So that is now we have discussed KL value for this. Now uh, if we kind of increase the rounding off of that corner where the flow is entering, you can see that if we increase the R upon D value, when R upon D is 0, it means that that is sharp edge entrance, which is 90 degree. But if we increase the radius of curvature, so it means that we are decreasing the curvature, so the flow would remain attached at the entrance. And you can see that when R upon D is that 0.25, then the KL value is because for the sharp edge entrance, we have seen that sharp edge entrance is this B value. So for that, KL value was 0.5. So that is the here when R upon D is equal to 0, which is sharp edge. So KL value is 0.5. If we smooth the entry by rounding off that edge, and if we keep on increasing, then it would be decreasing all the way. And like at R upon D at 0.25, KL falls below, I think maybe it is around 0.02. So that is the value which is 0.04 or 0.02, which is shown here in the figure D. KL is 0.04. So that is the same thing which is shown here, 0.04. So that was the loss coefficient in the entrance region. So now the second obvious effect would be when the flow through comes from a pipe into a reservoir. So it means that when this was the flow coming from a reservoir into a pipe. So the second scenario would be when head loss due to the flow coming from a pipe into a tank. And we all know that when the flow comes from pipe to some reservoir, all the mechanical head or velocity head, that is converted into elevation head. So it means that for this case, all the velocity head would be converted into elevation head, because the water level in that tank would increase. So KL value, if you see that for all the cases, that is equal to 1. While that, because all the velocity head that has been changed into elevation head or hydrostatic pressure distribution, which you studied in chapter number 2. So entire kinetic energy is dissipated due to viscous effect as a result of mixing of incoming fluid with the fluid at rest in the tank. So whose velocity is equal to 0. So KL value when it comes into the tank, that would be KL would be equal to 1 for all the cases. Now these were the two discontinuities. Now there are certain other discontinuities or component involved. So like if we have got sudden contraction, like it is just like that. If we have got a big pipe and then we attach a small pipe in front of it, so it means that the flow has to convert inside this. So and then for KL value for that would be changing depending upon the ratio of this A2 upon A1. If A2 upon A1 is decreased, if A2 upon A1, if that is 0, what does it mean? That is the case of the entry of fluid from a large reservoir. For that case, the KL value was 0.5 as we discussed. But if we increase the value of A1, if we increase the value of A1, so what will happen? That A2 upon A1 would be less, because we are increasing the denominator. So it means that in that case, it would be if A A1 is becoming less, not more, because if it is more, then it is 0 value. So what I was saying, that what I actually meant to say, that this height of the reservoir, if we keep on decreasing, so it means that the then A2 upon A1 value would be increasing, because A1 is decreasing, denominator is decreasing. In that case, you can obviously see that the KL value is decreasing, because that discontinuity would become less and less severe. And similarly, uh, when we talk about sudden expansion, so it is just putting a large diameter pipe in front of a small diameter pipe. So in the limiting case, uh, when when we have got A1 upon A2, that is 0, it means that A2 value is very large as compared to A1. That is the case when we are talking about the fluid entering into a large reservoir. So that for that case, we have seen on the last slide that KL value is equal to 1. If you see here, that is the case of fluid entry into large reservoir in which this A2 is very large and A1 is small. But if we keep on decreasing A2, which means that we are making that reservoir small and small, then KL value can decrease. And then when A2 upon A1, that is equal to 1, it means that the same diameter. Then it means that there is no loss, and you can see here. on the far right hand side. So these are the two cases for the mind you that all these things we usually get from the experiments, and by conducting these KL values, they are obtained by the conduct of experiments in the lab. So, but for this case, we can also determine KL theoretically if we write the energy equation, momentum equation, and continuity equation for the flow, and then if we can do a little bit of simplification, we can come up KL is equal to 1 minus A1 upon A2 whole square. So, that is maybe one page derivation. So you can give it a try. Otherwise, I can provide you with the link on which in the book they haven't done it. So because that was the only one case, so maybe that was the reason they didn't show the derivation that how they derive it. But you can easily find it on internet or for that sake on YouTube. That if you try to search that. Minor loss coefficient calculation for the sudden expansion. So you can find quite a few videos on which they have shown the derivation. So you can go through that derivation for your own understanding, but because that is a very unique case, and in 99% cases we usually conduct the experiment, so it's better that we stick with that. So this was this. So sudden expansion case. Then there is sudden contraction, sudden expansion, but there are many cases like gradual expansion and gradual contraction. So it means that we are talking about the flow through kind of diffuser here or nozzle effect. So in those cases, there are always some kind of losses. So, for instance, that if the flow here, the flow is going undergoing a gradual expansion when the velocity, when the flow enters in this canonical type of shape in which it is kind of a diffuser. So you can see that here they have shown KL upon 1 minus A2 upon A1 whole square. So for very small angle, the diffuser is excessively long. So this theta is the angle of diffuser. So if theta is very small, it means then the diffuser length would be very large. So they have shown the ratio of this KL upon 1 minus A1 upon A2 square. So you can see that if theta is very small, in the beginning it reduces, and at theta is equal to 8 degree, the losses are minimum, and then the losses uh, become quite high, and at theta is equal to 30 degree, KL becomes equal to 1 minus, because at this point KL upon this ratio would be equal to 1, and this would be applicable. So and then KL upon this ratio becomes more than 1, even more than 1, because so for moderate and large angles, the flow separates from the wall. So flow would separate from the wall, and losses are mainly due to dissipation of kinetic energy of the jet, and that is the reason we have got higher losses here in this region when theta value is more. But when the theta value is less, we can have minor losses, very negligible losses, like minimum losses. But the downside of that is that the diffuser length would be very high, which means that switching from the from the a small diameter pipe to the large diameter pipe would take a quite long length of diffuser, which would increase the initial cost of the piping system. So head loss due to gradual contraction, that is there is head loss is less due to in case of contraction, because In the nozzle effect, if I draw that nozzle here, because the streamlines are kind of converging in this case, like this. If it goes like this, so because there is a convergence of streamlines, so the possibility of flow separation usually occur on this surface area. So for the diffuser, because the streamlines are diverging in this case, so the streamline would be diverging, so the flow separation would be quite likely. But for the case of this contraction, the likelihood of the flow separation is very less. So that's why KL value is very small in case of contraction, gradual contraction, as compared to gradual expansion. Because for the gradual expansion, you can see that its value can be greater than 1, but for this, its value is quite less, 0.02 and 0.07, right? So these were the up till here we have discussed all the minor losses or loss coefficient due to discontinuities in flow. So we haven't discussed up to now any loss in the component. So I think okay. So there is another discontinuity left, which is the of course the bending of fluid, like taking some turn in the piping system, like 90-degree turn or maybe 35-degree, 60-degree, or 180-degree turn. So in those cases, there would be some kind of flow separation on the inner surface. You can see the shaded region due to imbalance of centrifugal forces. So that's why we would have some kind of flow separation on the inner side. So when there would be a flow separation, there would be viscous dissipation, and due to that, there would be some kind of losses. So one way of reduce the loss in a 90-degree bend, that is to put some guiding vanes. If you see on the right hand side figure, on the bottom side, you can see that the KL value for this left hand figure, that is 1.1 when it is taking 90-degree turn, because there is a flow separation happening on the inner surface, you can see here. But on the right hand side, you can see that there is no flow separation. Why is that? Because they have put some kind of guiding vanes inside that turn, so it keeps the flow streamlined and it prevents flow separation, right? So that is the advantage of putting guiding vanes, and we usually use it in wind tunnels, water tunnels. When we have got closed loop water tunnel, so because there are would be some kind of sharp bends, so we use guiding vanes in water tunnels very frequently or very commonly. So that's to reduce the losses due to flow separation, which would occur if there is no guiding vane. Okay, so up till here we have discussed these losses due to discontinuity in flow. Now we are going to, there is a table which shows that in different components like elbow, 180-degree return bends, then tees, then unions, and then valves. Uh, for different piping components, what is the value of KL? So if we know that how that component has been joined, like threaded or flanged or whatever, there are two major joining. Either it is threaded or flanged. So in both cases, the value of KL would be different. So we can see these values from for each component from the table. So similarly for the valves, so the valve function, there are different type of valves we use in the piping system, like gate valve, globe valve, check valve, depending upon that what kind of function, how do we want to control the volume flow rate. So the value of KL would be different, and you can see that there are like 10, 20, maybe 10 values here, gate valves, and then swing check valve, and these things. So KL value, and I would reiterate that all these values, they are determined by the conduct of experiment, right? So now, if there is any query, you can ask. Otherwise, we can continue with doing some numerical problems just to elaborate that how to calculate the minor and major losses for different kind of piping system. If there is any query from the theory which we have covered up till now in this lecture, you can ask. Otherwise, we can start doing some numerical problems. Okay, so it seems that everyone is quite happy with whatever we have covered up till now. So that is a very good thing. So now we are going to do a couple of numericals in this class, and we would continue doing those problems in the 1 hour class as well. So to determine the major and minor losses for different piping. So now the first problem here is numerical example. A large artery in a person's body can be approximated by a tube of diameter 9 mm and length 0.35 meters. Now we can also assume that the blood has a viscosity of 0.004 Newton second per meter square and a specific gravity of 1. So it means that the same density as of water, and then uh, density which means 99 kilogram per meter cube, and the pressure at the beginning of the artery is 120 mm of Hg, which, and the gamma value for the mercury, we know that 133 kilonewton per meter cube. So this is the specific weight which is gamma. So gamma, we all know that is the product of density and gravitational constant rho g. The mean velocity of the flow or of the blood flow through that artery is 0.2 meters. So we need to determine the pressure at the end of the artery if it is oriented vertically up, which means that the flow is going up. So it means that it is the blood which is coming towards the heart, or the blood which is going from the heart to the brain, or it is the blood which is coming from abdominal region to your heart. So that is vertically upward. So we need to determine the pressure at the end of the artery. If the at the beginning it is 120 mm of Hg. So let's do this problem on the whiteboard. So now we are considering first case that we have got an artery. So it is flow is going this way, and this is point 1 and this is point 2. So if we want to write the energy equation between point 1 and point 2, we can, in terms of head loss, we can V1 upon gamma plus V1 square upon 2 V1 square upon 2g plus Z1 is equal to upon P2 upon gamma plus V2 square upon 2g plus Z2 plus HL. HL here would be, because there is no component involved, so we can write straight away FL upon D V square upon 2, right? And what is this length? That is 0.35 meter, I think, in the statement, and diameter that is given 9 mm, which is 0.003 9 meters, right? So now P1 value, we need to determine P2 here. P2 needs to be determined. Now, one thing we note that because the diameter of the pipe is the same at all the locations, so we can say V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V, right? So it means that we can cancel out those dynamic velocity, dynamic head, and then the value of Z1, if Z1 is equal to, if Z1 is 0, if we take it as reference, then Z2 would be equal to 0.35, right? And secondly, one thing we need to uh, one thing we need to determine, that is what is the value of P1. So or so here P1 upon P1, if we know that P1 is P1 upon gamma, or maybe if you use your hydrostatic uh, pressure distribution knowledge, that way that is equal to rho gh, or we call it gamma h. So gamma value, that is 1 point gamma value for the mercury Hg, because this height is given in terms of mercury, which is 120 mm. So gamma, that is 133 kilonewton per meter. Here it is gamma of blood. This is blood, right? So that is a little bit of uh, kind of thing to note, that in this equation, because we are applying the this energy equation for the blood flow, so gamma would be of the blood, and for the calculation of pressure, because that is given in terms of 120 mm of Hg. So here the gamma would be for the Hg. So 133 into 10 to power 3 into H is 120 mm, 120 into 10 to the power minus 3. So if we do that, so P1 value comes out to be P1 value comes out to be 15.96 kilonewton per kilopascal, kilonewton per meter square, right? So now we also need to determine this friction factor, which is F. Velocity is given to us in the statement. I think the value of velocity, that is 0.2 meter per second. So we just write it here. Velocity V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V, that is 0.2 meter per second, and uh, then we need to determine this friction factor. So to determine that, the Reynolds number needs to be calculated. That would be rho VE upon mu. Rho value is 999. Mu value is given 0.004 Newton second per meter square. So if we put in the values, rho 999, velocity is 0.2 meter per second, diameter is, I think, what is the diameter? 9 mm. So 0.009, and mu value is 0.004. If we put in the value, that comes out to be, I think, that value comes out to be 450. So it is less than 2100. So it means the flow is laminar. Flow laminar. So it is laminar. So for the laminar flow, we know that if we want to calculate friction factor, that would be equal to 64 upon Reynolds number. So Reynolds number is 450. So if we put in the value, so F comes out to be 0.142. So now in this equation, I think we know all the things. We need to calculate P2. So From P1 we know gamma of blood, we know that we can rho into G 999 into 9.81, then here as well 999 into 9.81. Z2 value, what is the Z2 value? 0.35, friction factor 0.142, this length is 0.35, diameter is 0.009, and then we can just put in the values. So if we put in the values which I have just told, all the values that needs to be uh, incorporated in that equation. So if we do that, then P1 P2 comes out to be 12.42 kilo. Right. So P1 was equal to 15.96 and P2 is 12.42 kilopascal. So because here there are frictional effects as well as because the flow has to move against the gravity, so that effect is also there. So the second part of the question is that if the flow is horizontal, so so it's horizontal. So in horizontal flow, we would have all the things same. The only difference would be that Z2 would also be equal to 0 because now we are talking about a straight pipe. It means that now we are talking about flow in a horizontal direction. So in this, if one is this point and two is this point, so Z1 would be equal to Z2, but Z2 was point and this distance is 0.35 as in the last one. So it is 0.35. So in this case, if you try to guess that whether the value of P2 would be more than 12.42 or it would be less than 12.42, so obviously because now there is no work, the flow don't have to go against the gravity, so P2 value would be greater than 12.42, but of course it would be less than 15.96 because that is the initial pressure, so there would be some loss due to friction. So if we put in the values in the relation with Z2 is equal to 0, then the P2 value comes out to be P2 value comes out to be 15.85. So 15.96 was original, so it means that only 0.11 kilopascal pressure drop due to frictional effect. So all the rest of the pressure drop which was in part A, that was due to flow against gravity. So I hope that you understand this numerical problem. If there is any query, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we can move on to the second problem. Okay, so everyone is happy, so that's always good to know that you are understanding the numerical problems. That's always good. So now the second problem which we need to do is that is the flow through a shower. So we usually take shower at home. So if you see that flow comes from a single pipe, and then we have got a shower here. So in shower we have got small tiny holes from which the water comes. So now in this shower they just for to control the volume flow rate, we usually control the volume flow rate by the that valve uh, installed at our height, but in modern showers they can also control it by using flow reducer, which are installed directly above the where the this diffuser part of shower is installed. So you can see that the flow reducer washer they have put it here. So now due to this flow reducer they have installed, there would be some kind of losses there. So those losses would come into the category of minor loss. So for the minor losses, we need to calculate loss coefficient. So that's what we are going to do. So let me read the statement of the problem. So to conserve water and energy, a flow reducer is installed in the shower head as shown in the figure. In the figure, if the pressure at point 1 remains constant and all losses except for that in the flow reducer are neglected. So we only want to calculate the loss coefficient due to the installation of this flow reducer washer. Determine the value of the loss coefficient based on the velocity in the pipe of the flow reducer if its presence is to reduce the flow rate by a factor of 2. So it means that if the flow rate becomes half after the installation of this flow reducer, we need to calculate the loss coefficient which, which is associated with this flow reducer. So, because here they have given the comparison with the situation when there is no flow reducer. So, first of all, we would write the equation for the case when we have got no flow reducer. So, okay, and second thing that 1 and 2 because they haven't mentioned us that what is the elevation difference, so we would take that 1 is equal to that 2. The diameter of the main pipe is given half inch, and then we have got here we in this the 50 holes of diameter 0.05 inch. So it means that in this shower we have got 50 holes of 0.05 inch, and the main pipe has a diameter of half inch, right? So now we need to calculate the value of the loss coefficient. So we can calculate it by using some kind of comparison with the situation where there is no flow reducer. So let's do it on the whiteboard. So first of all, let's assume in the case when there is no flow reducer, no flow reducer. So in this case, if we want to write the energy equation, we can just write it V1 upon gamma plus V1 squared upon 2G plus Z1 is equal to P2 upon gamma plus V2 squared upon 2G. Okay, let me kind of get this figure here. Okay, so so that you know that what is 1 and 2. So we can put it somewhere here. Right. So this is the situation. One is the point inside the main pipe, and two is the exit of the shower. Right. So in this case, first of all, we would assume that Z1 is equal to Z2 because we don't know the value. They haven't given the elevation difference. Then second thing we can say that that the static that we can now we can also say that the static gauge pressure at the outlet P2 because that is atmospheric. It is going into the atmosphere. So the gauge pressure would be equal to 0. So we are not talking about absolute pressure, but the gauge pressure. P2 is equal to 0. So now we need to just kind of see that how this, and then what is the value of V1 and V2? That if the volume flow rate is just if the volume flow rate through pipe is Q is the volume flow rate, then V1 can be written like Q upon A1. A1, what is the value of A1? That is pi by 4 into 0.05. So if we want to deal in feet, then we can say that it would be equal to Q upon uh, pi by 4, 0.5 on 12. Right now, the velocity would be in feet per second. If the Q is also in feet Q per second, so velocity would be in feet per second. So that is the value of V1. What is the value of V2? So if we calculate this value, that comes out to be 733 Q. And now V2 value, that would be Q upon A2. Now for A2, we know that we have got 50 holes of 0.05 inches. So what we do, Q divided by pi by 4 into 50 into 0.05 divided by 12 into square, because there are 50 small holes in the shower. So if we calculate V2, so V2 comes out to be, if we do the calculation, uh, that would be equal to 9. I think that is 1467 cube. Right. So now we need to write uh, uh, this equation. So we can write, if we multiply the whole equation with gamma, which is rho g, so g would be cancelled out. So we can say that it would be equal to half rho v2 square minus v1 square, and we know v1 and v2 in terms of q. So if we put in the values, so it would be half into rho into 1467 q square minus 733 q square. And if we do the mass to calculate the value, then we can write it. Uh, it is equal to 8.07 into 10 to power 6 rho q square. Right. So this was the case when there is no flow reducer. Now the second case is when the flow reducer with flow reducer. With flow reducer, if we see the there are two things which needs to be mentioned, that with the flow reducer the velocity is to be reduced by or the flow rate is to be reduced by 2. First thing is that, and then secondly, this P1 value would be the same. So because that is only affecting the flow rate. So if we want to write the energy equation with flow reducer, it would be equal to P1 upon gamma plus P1 square upon P plus Z1 is equal to P2 upon gamma plus P2 square upon 2G plus Z2 plus now because we also need to write the minor loss term, that is KL into V, that would be equal to V1 square upon 2G, because in the statement they have said that we need to calculate loss coefficient based on the velocity in the pipe, which is V1, right? So that's why we have put V1, we have multiplied KL with V1 square upon 2G. So then again, everything is the same. The only thing, because the flow rate is reduced, so that would affect the velocity. So V1 now becomes uh, V1 would be equal to 733 Q divided by 2, and then V2 would also be 1467 Q divided by 2. Why there is a division by 2? Because the volume flow rate has been reduced by 2. So if we put it in the equation, in the above equation, and multiply the whole equation with gamma, which is rho g, and we know that Z1 is Z2, so that would be cancelled, and P2 is 0, that is also 0. So P1 would be equal to half rho V2 square minus V1 square. Now we put these values V2 minus V1, but now with the V1 we also need to put incorporate, just a minute. Here we also need to incorporate that that KL term, KL KL V1 square minus V1 square. Right, this KL V1 square comes from here, and where uh, this uh, this 2G went, because there are, this is the 2 here, and G would be cancelled when the gamma would be multiplied, that is rho into G, so G would be cancelled there. That is the gravitational constant. Now we can put the values of V1 and V2, and we can put this V1 value here. So that's what we are going to do. So here it would be 8, because P1 value is the same in both cases. So 8.07 into 10 to the power 6, 10 to the power 6 rho Q square is equal to half rho into 1467 by 2 Q square plus KL minus 1 into 733 Q upon 2. Right, so I have just put the value of V1, which is 733 Q upon 2, and I have written this KL minus 1 because V1 scale is common, so I have taken it common, KL minus 1. So from here, the only row would be cancelled out with rho, and Q square is happening in each term, so that would be cancelled out, this Q, and this Q. The only unknown is KL here. So if we do a little bit of calculation to calculate KL, that comes out to be approximately 9. Right, so it means that KL value is 9 for this component. So any query in this numerical problem we discuss now? Let me download the attendance now. So I have downloaded the attendance. Uh, so if there is no further